What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys, obviously revolving around the transfer window. And if you thought it was the last of the Daily Porro, you are definitely wrongly mistaken, as were we when we said it's coming to an end. It looks like it's far from an end. And it's not just going to come in a little Tottenham update for you, it's going to come in a form of a stream. This is going to be the longest Daily Porro you've had from us. I mean, it's been going absolutely mental this morning, absolutely mental. We heard yesterday this deal is all but done. He was coming over to London for a medical today, and we were going to get the announcement for before the deadline tomorrow. But there has been a spanner thrown in the works by Sporting, by Spurs, whichever way you want to look at it. And I'm going to get into all these updates. So it was first brought in from David Ornstein. He's the first one that broke it this morning, and he says Tottenham move for Pedro Porro is off after Sporting reneged on terms of proposed deal. 23-year-old is distraught after Sporting president told the right wing back that following Saturday's League Cup final he would be allowed to leave. Ali Gold: big late problems with Pedro Porro deal. Medical has been scheduled for today, but currently isn't going to happen after a change at the Sporting end. Next 24 hours are going to be crucial as to whether the deal can be salvaged, with Porro desperate to move. Romano: Tottenham had medical tests booked today in order to complete the deal agreed on Saturday as players said goodbye to the fans. Sporting changed details and conditions of the deal right before signing the documents. Tottenham are now still working to resolve issues to get Pedro Porro done. All parties are in contact. Bellerin to Sporting deal depends on Porro to Spurs. One more to watch in the final hours. And he did go on to say in a video that Pedro Porro to Spurs is still on. Gary Jacobs said that Sporting have refused to sign off any final agreement over administration fees for Pedro Porro. They want Tottenham to pay 2.6 million to cover the costs of payment methods to administer the deal. Paul O'Keefe says, I knew Sporting were awful to deal with, but on a whole, this is a whole new level reached. They've already dropped into the negotiation late that his release clause was not valid as it had an expiry date before 12 days of the window closed, before the last 12 days of the window. They used that to start asking for more money, which Spurs overcame. Where does it end? Do we offer another 5 million and then they say yes and then no again? The player was scheduled to arrive in Tottenham this morning and is obviously pissed. More fallout to come, no doubt. Nobody, however, can trigger his release clause, hence why they're after more money. And he did go on to say, Paul O'Keefe, that Daniel Levy has now taken over the Porro negotiations. Dan Kilpatrick says there will be further talks with Sporting. Pedro Porro is pushing for the move. Tottenham are not thought to be working on any other deals for the first team as it stands. Missing out on Porro would leave them with just one addition this month. Nazar Kinsella saying, I don't think the Pedro Porro to Tottenham is fully off. It sounds like it is Sporting negotiation tactic around final few details of the 40 million transaction, knowing just how much Spurs need him. And finally, Matti Moretto says the Pedro Porro affair at Tottenham is still alive. The negotiations suddenly slowed down due to payment methods, but all parties involved do not take it for granted. So the most reliable one in David Ornstein saying it's completely off. Romano saying it could still be on. Ali Gold saying these next 24 hours are crucial. Where do you stand on this?
Who knows where to stand? You got a load of tier ones conflicting reports at the moment about where this deal stands. You know, I went to bed last night. It's such good spirits. Everything was good. We had such a great day on Saturday. We had the Here We Go. We had a nice cup win. Danjuma scored on his debut. Everyone was saying medical Monday. Today was going to be Porro day. It was going to set to the end of the Daily Porro. I went to bed so nice. Then I woke up and I look at my phone. It was like, Porro deal off. This Porro, the stumbling blocks in the Porros. I was like, let me try that again. I went back to sleep and I was like, maybe this got to be a nightmare. This can't be true.
Woke up, it got even worse.
As I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is falling through right now. Sporting, to be fair to them, they are going to try and squeeze every single dime out of Spurs that they can, and I understand why they will. They've sold 3 high-profile players over the last 6 months to a year. They sold João Paulinho. They sold Matheus Nunes to Wolves. They sold Nuno Mendes to PSG. I don't think they're in they really want to keep selling high-profile players right now, considering 3 in a very short space of time. They know the Premier League clubs right now. You look at the Premier League spend over the January window compared to all the other leagues. We dwarf the Premier League dwarfs every other league when it comes to spend. They know that Premier League clubs have so much more resources and so much more money compared to teams in Premier League, and even at this point, La Liga and Serie A and things like that. They're not spending anywhere near as much. Like you look at Zaniolo deal, Bournemouth are competing with AC Milan to try and get that deal done. Like the finances there just show how much power Premier League clubs have. So when you are a team in Portugal, you're going to try and squeeze every single dime and try and get every single million you can out of a team if you're negotiating with a Premier League club, and that is what is happening right now. They keep reneging on deals. They keep trying to ask for more and more money. They keep trying to push the boundaries. They try to get up to. They got the 45 million they wanted. They're trying to get up to 48 million. They try and even creep up to maybe 50 million euros. And from Tottenham's point of view, obviously when you agree a deal, there's got the club you're negotiating with keep reneging on the deal. There's got to be a point where you say, look, enough is enough, and we're not going to give you any more. We agreed on this price, and we're not going to we're going to stop at this point. But if depends what is true. If it's the 2.6 million administration fee, which is what the stumbling block is, then obviously that has to get done. I think we probably should pay an administration fee because we're trying to sign the player from Sporting. That's the name of the game. We're trying to sign their player. We've entered negotiations with them to get their player. So all these kind of fees which have built up through the negotiations, Tottenham should probably pay it if that's what the stumbling block is. If it's just a Sporting Lisbon trying to eke more and more money for the sake of it, depends how much. It depends on all these different aspects. Obviously, we don't know the details completely. There's conflicting reports, but what I don't have is sympathy for this hierarchy, because this is something Daniel Levy has reportedly done many a time when he comes to negotiating deals with other clubs for other players. Many chairmen have repeatedly complained about how Daniel Levy has gone back on deals and completely gone back to the table and reneged on deals many times. Even when they've agreed on something, then he's wanted to add something else and add something else and add something else. The fact of the matter is, Spurs have had. You can say we've had a month, but we've had even more than that to get this deal done, to get this deal underway. We've had the whole month of the World Cup to be negotiating with Sporting for who we wanted to. We've had the whole month of January to get this deal over the line, and the fact that we've gone into the last few days of the window unsure whether this deal is going to get over the line and still negotiating, still haggling, and it's still on the table, is quite frankly on the board whatever way you slice it. I don't think you can. I don't think if whether Sporting have reneged on the deal or not, you can't escape criticism for how we've negotiated this deal and how we continuously negotiate transfer deals of this kind of nature. Yes, I understand that what Sporting have done is very shitty. No doubt about it. If that's what they've done, if they've agreed on a deal and then reneged it the next day, that's a shitty thing to do. But we shouldn't be scrambling around in the last few days of the window to try and get this deal done and risking this deal not getting done because we've waited for the last few days of the window to negotiate this deal and try and get the best price. We should have had this done on the first day of the window, or even we've had teams like Chelsea who already had players lined up before the window, and then they come and join. Cody Gakpo as well, Liverpool as well. They signed him before the window, so why can't we do something like that? There's no reason why we had to wait till the last few days of the window. And also, Paul O'Keefe is saying that potentially he had a release clause, that the clause in the release clause for Porro's contract was that it wasn't valid in the last 12 days of the window. Now, if you're going to wait till the last, I don't know if they knew that or not. They must have had some knowledge of that clause, in my opinion, or otherwise they're not doing their job.
Paul O'Keefe said they kept it quiet until late in the discussions. So they still
Sporting kept it quiet.
Sporting kept it quiet in the negotiations, yeah.
Well, that's a very shitty thing to do. That's very sneaky as well. But if they didn't know about it, then I guess there's not much they can do. But if they did know about it, then waiting till the last week of the window was very foolish, because they lose a lot of leverage. because if you're negotiating in the first part of the window with that clause there sitting there, you have a bit of leverage there, because you can just say, look, if we will pay this release clause if these payment structures don't suit us. But with that, if that clause then winds down and then it's no longer active, we don't have that leverage there. So all of a sudden the ball's in Sporting's court. We have to agree with something with them, and we don't have that fail safe of just activating the release clause if need be. And now we're stuck. We're at the whim of Sporting at the moment, and that's the reality. But how many times have clubs been at the whim of us and we've made them sweat like this? So I don't blame. I mean, it's a shitty thing to do, but do I blame Sporting, who are in a league where the resources are very much limited compared to the Premier League, to try and squeeze every single million out of Tottenham? I don't necessarily blame them, although it's a shitty thing to do to renege on a deal.
We've blamed Daniel Levy many a time for doing something very similar to this, and we've put it all on him for doing something like this. So when Sporting do it, it's only right to put it all on them as well, no matter what the previous is. Yes, Daniel Levy's got previous. Yes, I'm going to put it on the hierarchy for not getting it done early, 100%. But it's not right what Sporting are doing right now, especially with the negotiations with Spurs, but what they're doing with the player as well, telling him he can go, this is his last game. He's waving goodbye to the fans and saying goodbye to all his teammates and everything like that. And suddenly the deal's off because they've moved the goalpost and completely changed what they want from Tottenham. And now they're asking for more money and more money and more money. When's this going to end? I mean, yes, there's both faults at party, and Spurs should have got this done way earlier, and it's on us for not getting it done way earlier, because we had the opportunity just to put the money down on the table and Sporting couldn't have done anything about it. It's our fault for waiting this long, but to get to at this stage, a day before the window shuts, and to move the goalposts yet again after they've told Pedro Porro he can leave, after he said goodbye to everyone and waved goodbye to the fans, it's not right. It's really not right. And if you're going to lay into Daniel Levy for doing it every single time, which we do, you've got to lay into Sporting for doing it now.
I don't agree with what Sporting have done, but at the end of the day, if Daniel Levy was in their position, he'd probably do the same thing. Yeah. That's the reality. And you got to realise that we're Premier League clubs in a privileged position with having that much money coming into the league and that much money to spend. For example, let's just take this. I don't know if it's true or not, this 2.6 million administration fee. When it comes to Premier League teams, that's like a drop in the water. That really isn't a fee that you should be negotiating over. That's a fee that, that is a sticking point, you have to pay it and you move on. But that is, when it comes to the Portuguese league, that's a significant amount of money. That's actually quite a lot of money to be dealing with this and to be trifled with. And if that's something that they've had to deal with over the administration of the meetings and the negotiations because of whatever. Jets or meetings or whatever, somehow they've built up a 2.6 million administration fee. I can understand Sporting wanting that paid, and I think it would be on Tottenham to pay that, in my opinion. But that should have been obviously made clear before probably the day before last day of the window. So. When you're a club that has a limited means, like Sporting, who are in the Portuguese, compared to Premier League clubs, they're always going to try their best to squeeze every little everything around the money. And because we're not in a position to just pay the release clause as fail-safe, we have to play ball in a way. I think Levy has to swallow his pride and play ball, and for the good of the team and for the good of the player as well, to get him through the line, we have to play ball and we have to try and get this deal over the line. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting here for another 6 months with Emerson and Doherty at wing back. We're going to have the fans being very toxic again, and the player, and we're probably not going to get the player in the summer either. I would imagine. I reckon. I feel like it's a moment in time right now that we could get Porro, and it might not be the same in 6 months' time. I definitely wouldn't bet on it.
We saw with Dybala, like we saw with Bruno Fernandes, like we saw with João Moutinho, like we saw with every other deal that we've scuppered over the years.
Yeah,
with Jack Grealish.
Basically, Levy's been levied.
Yeah,
that's what's happened in this deal, and we need to deal with that. And it's all on Levy, because I tell you why. Even though. Sporting again are shitty for agreeing a deal then reneging it 100%. I think that's a really shitty thing to do. But we are the ones that gave them the opportunity to wait this long in the window to buy by going in so late. Absolutely. So we only have ourselves to blame at the end of the day for being in this position where we either play ball or we risk losing the player. If we would have done this right begin the window, then we would still have time to negotiate this and iron these things out. But because we only started late in the window, this is the position we're in. So I don't see how the hierarchy can't escape any criticism for what's happened here.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, I put the majority of the... If Porro is not here by the start of by that Man City game, or by the end of tomorrow, by the end of that transfer window, the blame has to go solely on the hierarchy, in my opinion, no matter what Sporting have done. Like you said, look, when you're looking at all deals since over the past 10 years that have been scuppered by Spurs, 99.9% of it is down to Daniel Levy and his negotiation tactics. It's no surprise that we're the ones that are always going in for these players, and we're the ones that are consistently missing out year on, year out. So it's just that thing. It's the common denominator every time, the common denominator in every deal that always breaks down. Daniel Levy is always at the helm of it. Daniel Levy is always at the centre of it. And now we're hearing Daniel Levy is going to take over negotiations.
Well, yeah, Ali Gold apparently he's doing a Q&A on his Football London right now, and he said all the deal is now in the hands of Daniel Levy and President Federico Varandes, after we heard that the deal was being negotiated by intermediaries for both parties beforehand. They clearly haven't been able to come to a full agreement, so it looks like both heads of the clubs are going to go head to head with this one, and hopefully they can hash something out before the deadline. But both, I know Levy, we know, notoriously hard to deal with, but what I don't understand is, like, yeah, as you said, like Wolves and Fulham and were able to get deals done fairly swiftly in the summer for João Palhinha and Matheus Nunes for fairly similar fees to what we're looking for Pedro Porro. But all of a sudden, when it comes to us, it's a very complicated deal that, you know, is really difficult to do. And it's because of how we deal with things.
They had a stance, and we kept trying to work our way around that stance every single way, just so they can win negotiations once again. How many times have we spoken about over the years that Spurs don't even look for the best deals? They just want to look to win the negotiation. It's not about sometimes it's not even about getting the best deal for the football club. It's just getting to win the negotiation for Daniel Levy and his ego. And I've had enough of it. I really have had enough of it. And it's just about getting the deals over the line. When Paratici first came here, I remember he did an interview and he was like, oh, if you have to pay 1 or 2 million over the odds to get the deal done, you go and do it. When's that ever going to happen with Spurs? It's not going to happen. And you're talking about a deal that's going to be scuppered over 2.5 million for a player like Pedro Porro, who we desperately need. It's an absolute disgrace if this deal gets broken down over 2.5 million. If that's the real situation, it really is. How can we let a deal for Pedro Porro go for 2.5 million?
And what frustrates me as well is, like, Arsenal got a deal done for Trossard for, again, a fairly similar fee when you're talking about euros, like maybe 35 million euros, you would say, for Leandro Trossard, for a player. They got it done within a few hours, and this was a player they didn't even desperately need in their squad. They just supplementing their squad in terms of depth. Yeah, we're here negotiating for a player we are beyond desperate for at this point in Pedro Porro. He is so vital to Conte's system, to how we want to play, to upgrading on that position. He comes straight into the first team as a massive upgrade on what we currently have, and yet we are spending we are waiting till the end of the window to try and get the deal done, even though we could have definitely used him this month, which is whatever. That's by the by. That's beat and gone now. We can't even talk about that. We need him this month to be playing games. But we're still haggling, and we're still, like, it's in the balance whether we're going to get this player who we so desperately need, and we're risking not getting this player over the line, but for the sake of, I don't know how much it could be, but it can't be more than a few million between getting this deal done or not. And it's just so frustrating as a Tottenham fan, where we know this is a player that we desperately need. And
it was so easily gettable as well. Yeah, it was so easily. This deal was so easy to do.
We could have paid the release clause if we really wanted to, and now we would rather risk the deal not getting done than just paying the money. And it's very, very frustrating from a Spurs fan's point of view. And look, I do think, by and large, this is a negotiation tactic from Sporting, and I do think that they're asking for money to try and squeeze more out of us. But I do think there is a deal to be done here still. I know Ornstein said it was off, but I'm not saying that he's wrong, but the deal might be off at that point. Doesn't mean it can't go back on, if you know what I mean. Doesn't mean, it's off in a sense that they change the deal, so Spurs says no. So at that point, the deal is off, but it doesn't mean that they can't renegotiate.
He said it very definitively, though, like, this deal is off, and everyone else is saying it's still on. It's very weird. But
he said it's off, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. The deal, just because the deal was off, doesn't mean that's it. It's not happening. It just means the deal was off.
He knew what he was doing, Ornstein. He knew that people were going to take, like, this is not happening. This is never going to happen.
Well, yeah, because right now it's not. Because we don't have an agreement. We had an agreement a couple of days ago.
Yeah, but
and right now we don't.
Spurs and Sporting are still in negotiations.
Yeah, but when it's this close to the deadline, the deal is currently off. That's what he's saying.
When he says deal off to me, what that kind of understands in my head is that the deal is off. It's not going to happen. The negotiations have completely stopped. That's what I get from it.
I don't get that. I get that the deal is off now. Like, right now, the deal is off. This is like a current state of play. The Sporting reneged on the deal, and the deal is now off. Doesn't mean it's never. It's going to remain off till the end of the window, because Tottenham could turn around and say, okay, we'll pay the money or whatever, or they could still be negotiation. As you know, Ali Gold's saying, the two chairmen are now in talks, and they're going to try and see if they can come to a solution. So the deal could very well come back on.
Surely, just for like a happy camp's sake, and Sporting's, he's saying the players distraught. Ali Gold saying the players desperate for the move. Dan Kilpatrick saying the players really pushing for this move. I mean, does Sporting really want a player like that on their hands, where he's going to be unhappy by staying there?
Probably not. As I said, I do think that I do have a feeling this deal will still get done. I do have a feeling that this is Sporting just playing really hardball and trying to get more money out of Tottenham, and Tottenham don't want to be taking the piss out of, because Levy has a big pride and big ego when it comes to more money coming out of the club, and he's done it a million times. So you can't bullshit a bullshitter, basically, and that's kind of like Levy senses he's being bullshitted here. They're trying to eke more and more money. So at some point they're just like, look, we've agreed a deal now. We're not going to give you more money. But I think the intermediaries have been at the centre of this negotiation so far. And now, hopefully,
those guys, by the way, are Porro's agents, who are CAA base, and they're the agency as well who work more closely with Tottenham than anyone else. How can they not get this deal done?
I can't answer that. I don't know, but I think this is a lot of it is pride and ego, and I think if we need to set that aside if we're going to get this deal done, and if Sporting are really gonna put dig their feet in this one and demand this extra few million,
the bloody money,
then I think we just got to pay and put our ego aside, because 100%. this is the state of play. It's interesting to hear. I was listening to a Twitter space, and it was led by a freelance journalist on Sky Sports. He was claiming, first of all, he's claiming that Spurs do have backup options for Porro, even though it doesn't seem like it right now. He's claiming that they definitely do have backup options for Porro if it does fall through.
Where was he from?
He's a freelance journalist, a freelance producer at Sky Sports. Right. That's who he is, apparently. He was claiming that Spurs definitely do have a backup option for Porro, most namely someone, he didn't give names, but he said namely there was a very experienced right wing back in Spain who plays at a very high level, who Tottenham would definitely be interested in, although he didn't give a name.
Danny Carvajal, Hector Bellerin.
It better not be Bellerin, that's all I'm saying. He said it's somebody he wouldn't necessarily want, but someone who would definitely bring experience or something like that, or a good player.
Guarantee you, if this Porro deal doesn't come off, we're not getting another right back.
He also claims, which is interesting, I don't know how true it is, obviously, he also claims that the structure of the deal, which Tottenham had agreed with Sporting on beforehand, would allow Tottenham to go ahead ahead and push for a centre-back in the last couple of days of the window and afford both this window. But with the reneging of Sporting and with them pushing the boat with how much, if Tottenham were to agree to the new terms of Sporting's valuation, then Tottenham would no longer be able to afford a right wing back and a centre back in this window, which I don't believe for a second.
Such bollocks. Such bollocks. We heard from reliable people like Ali Golden and stuff like that saying Porro's most likely going to be the last one in. And they're talking about centre-backs like Hincapie and other players like that. They're going to be summer targets. We're putting in a derisory bids of 25 million. That's nowhere near what they want. And I guarantee you now, if Porro doesn't come in, we ain't signing. We ain't signing other right back. I guarantee you. Look how long it took us to negotiate for Porro. Do you really think we're going to get a deal done from now until the end of the window for another right back?
Well, we got Janjuba done very quickly.
It's not going to happen.
You never know.
It's not going to happen. We are a laughing stock. We're an absolute joke. We can't get a deal done that we've been working on all month.
Always seems to be the deals that we don't necessarily need and we get done quickly, but the ones that we are desperate for and that we that make the most sense and we desperately need, all of a sudden those are the ones that get dragged out and get put into doubt. And it's so frustrating being a Tottenham fan. Honestly, like, this club has made this fan base like completely bipolar, like with how we react to things, and we can never be too sure and too happy with a deal until we see a player holding up the shirt, because these things tend to happen at the moment. Let's just hope over the next 24 hours a deal can be done. But having had the here we go from Romano, having had all those positive updates a couple of days ago about this deal being done today, it is so frustrating and quite frankly embarrassing that we're now here on Monday and this deal is in the balance. That should never be the case.
This is what you call karma for Mr. Daniel Levy. This is karma at his best. Literally, he's done this to so many chairmen over the years. It had to come back and bite him at some point, and it's coming back to bite him now. Obviously, we'll wait and see over the next 24 hours if a deal can be done. Some journalists like Romano, especially Romano, think that it still can happen. So let's hope that it does. And if it is only 2.5 million, if we miss out on this deal over 2.5 million, he is literally going to have riots on his hands, Daniel Levy.
Romano should pay the fee just to save his credibility. He should pay the 2.6 million. He can afford it.
Yeah. That is your daily Porro at the moment. The deal is off for Pedro Porro to come to Tottenham Hotspur. We'll have to see if any developments happen, but we do have some more updates to bring to you. And first of all, starting off with Bryan Gil, Romano said Romano says that Sevilla are closing in on the deal to sign Bryan Gil from Tottenham, as revealed earlier tonight, which was last night. He said, "Here we go soon. Loan move until June. No buy option. Bryan will be back at the end of the season. Sao Paulo called the player and it was crucial to get it done." And he's just come out and said not long ago, understand Bryan Gil is already in Spain in order to undergo medical and sign the contract as a new Sevilla player. Verbal agreement reached yesterday with Tottenham on loan deal with no buy option clause included. So yeah, I'm not that happy that Gil's gone, but with Danjuma coming in, I guess it's not the end of the world. But what I'm really happy about is that there's no buy option on that.
Yeah, look, Bryan Gil has just been pictured at Sevilla airport. I'm going to try and bring up on the phone shortly just to show you all, but there are now pictures and videos circulating of Bryan Gil flying over. I think he's just arrived at Sevilla, so that one looks done. Quite disappointing. That again, it's going to be another loan move to Spain, which is something that he had last season. It wasn't exactly the best deal for him. It started off well. One sec. And it's not something that we necessarily want. We don't want him to go back to Spain again, because he's had a couple of loan deals to Spain, and it's not something that try and bring up. Sorry,
can we not get Eric Lamela back in the deal?
Let's try and get him back. 1 second. We know what he can do in Spain. Spain is not what we need from Bryan Gil. We need him to get a deal in England, which is here we are. Let's get this up. There is Bryan Gil at Sevilla airport, just for your confirmation. He's got the thumbs up. Let's get that up. There you go. So that deal pretty much done now. It looks like Bryan Gil to Sevilla, but it's a deal that doesn't really help his development when it comes to whether he's going to be ready suited for the Premier League and all that kind of stuff. That's the most frustrating thing. I don't really see him it helping his long-term future at Tottenham. Absolutely. That's the problem. Although the game time will help, but there's no. We saw it was at Valencia. I mean, he started well and was playing a lot of games, and then he was starting to be on the bench again. So there's no guarantee he's going to get the game time. There's no point to it really. It's just 6 months away from Tottenham. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess, look, on one hand as well, we do need to get rid of a foreign player or 2 foreign players before the end of the window in the Champions League. So from that point, I kind of understand it. And if he does get regular game time, regardless of whether it's in the Premier League or not, it will help his development to play regularly.
I was under the understanding, I might be wrong, that if you're 21 or below, that you don't need to have be registered or something. For the European competition or the Premier League competition. I thought they don't count as a foreign spot.
I think it's in the Premier League.
Is that only Premier League?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Champions League. You've got the A list and B list. You have to be on one of them. And also, isn't Gil 22 now?
He's 21.
He's still 21. Okay. We signed him at 19, did we? I thought we signed him at 20. Was he still 21?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Oh, he turns 22 next month. Yeah, I think it's only in the Premier League. I think Champions League's a bit different.
Right.
I think Champions League rules are a bit different. Because I remember we had to leave out, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Foyth, when he was, even though he was, even though he was 21 years of age because of it. So I think we'd have to put Gil in the squad.
Just take players like Davinson Sanchez. Let them, what do we need Davinson Sanchez in the Champions League squad for? What do we need? We've got so many excess players that we don't want to use, and it's just past their sell-by date or just rubbish. And Bryan Gil, he's actually shown a bit this season. He was starting to get to grips with things at Spurs, and what he needs is consistent game time in English football. Going back to Spain is just not going to do anything.
But if there are no offers for him in England, then what do we do?
Keep him as an option.
But if he's not going to be in the squad in the Champions League anyway. And if he is going to get regular game time in Spain, then it might help him to get that regular game time rather than just stay here and not really. With Danjuma now here, obviously with Richarlison's back fit, it's going to be very limited, his game time here at Tottenham, right, in the second half of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the FA Cup as well. He could have got good minutes in that tournament. He could have got minutes.
How many starts is he really going to get?
Starts, no. I don't even think he would have got starts in the Champions League. But, all of a sudden, if we get a few injuries in the front line again, which we've had all season, then he's going to be needed.
Yeah, but maybe the thinking is with Lucas coming back from injury now, and maybe no offers for him, that Gil's the one who's going to be going out on loan. Maybe that's the thinking.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm not that upset that he's going out on loan. I'm more upset that he's going to Spain, and I'm more upset, but I'm happy that there's no buy option because I really believe in Gil. I'm a big believer in Gil, and I think that obviously a move to England or even Germany, I think would have put him in better stead than going back to Spain. But it seems as though only Spanish teams are interested in him. So it is what it is. So it looks like he is going to be a Sevilla player from now until the end of the season. Let's move on to Lucas Moura. Paul O'Keefe says it is now unlikely that Lucas leaves by Tuesday evening. We saw him playing for the under-21s against Arsenal, getting a goal. And it looks as though maybe we haven't seen the last of Lucas Moura now. Yeah,
seems as though, which is interesting. Maybe we'll have a final hurrah in the last 6 months. He's had terrible trouble this season with injuries. Apparently inflamed thigh injury, which has been playing up pretty much throughout the whole season. Hasn't really been able to get back fit at all this season. And we know on his day he can be a decent player, but we haven't seen that in a very long time for Lucas. But look, we're not going to renew his contract. He's going to have the last 6 months. And we do see as well, a lot of the times when players have a contract running out, they do up their game a lot with a bid to either earn a new deal or earn suitors for when their deal runs out. And maybe we'll see that for Lucas in the last 6 months of his contract at Tottenham. Maybe he can get over these niggling injuries and actually provide some cover for the right wing, because as a backup to right wing to Kulusevski, all of a sudden, if he is fit and available, and he is getting back to what maybe half of what his best was, he could be a decent option off the bench and a squad option for the last 6 months. So that is something to consider, I guess, going to the last 6 months. Instead of having Gil there, we can have maybe someone with Lucas Moura who we know in the Champions League he's been fairly effective, but we just it's hard to believe when you haven't seen it for so long that he's going to be able to hit those heights again. But I think I can understand it. If we can't get rid of him, then hopefully he can just provide some sort of cover for the remainder of the season. We'll see.
Me personally, I'd actually like to see Bryan Gil begin with more minutes than Lucas Moura at the moment. With what Bryan Gil's shown in the Champions League and in a few appearances here and there, Lucas Moura, when's the last time, never mind got on the pitch, but had a good display even when he was on the pitch? I don't remember one for ages. Like, has he even had a good performance under Conte?
I remember when Conte first came in, he was decent, but it was, and then he very quickly came out of the team once we got Kulusevski. Right at the beginning of his tenure, he was actually not bad. I remember he had good games against the likes of Palace at home, Norwich. He was decent, scored a great goal from outside the box, but then his form really fell off. This season he
hasn't played
tragic.
This season,
He has like early in the season he had a couple of appearances, but he's been really, really poor. Hasn't been his same Lucas, but he's clearly, to be fair to him, he has had really bad injury problems. That's been clear, and hopefully if he is over them, maybe he can start to be someone who can contribute.
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. But that is the Lucas Moura situation. He will be it looks like he will be staying at Tottenham for the remainder of this season. Let's talk about Piero Hincapie now. Dan Kilpatrick says that Antonio Conte wants Tottenham to sign a top centre-half, but any move for Hincapie will likely have to wait until the summer. Tottenham are not working on any other deals for the first team as it stands. Ali Gold says Tottenham do have an interest in Piero Hincapie. However, a summer deal is currently seen as more likely for anyone interested. Why do we have to wait for the summer to get a deal for him
because
done?
that's how we do things. We see if there's any opportunities late in the window, when inevitably clubs are like, well, we don't have enough time to sign a replacement. Then the deal dies before it even starts, and we have to wait till the summer. I can't see Leverkusen us being allowed to get him for a fee that we want him late in the window when there's not enough time for them to sign a replacement. He's a very young player, a player with high potential and high quality, and he's someone who they're going to want to get the best price for. Why would they sell him 2 days before the end of the window when they're not going to get? They're probably Spurs are probably only going to go for him at this point because they think they can get a cheap price, which is not going to happen. And Leverkusen are going to need time to find a replacement. So I think in this day and age, you can't go. You can look when it comes to late in the window and things like that, there are deals to be had, but usually it's not the players you want. Like the players that are available and that clubs are willing to let go for a fair price are players that they don't want. It's players that they're willing to discard. It's players that are not crucial to their team, who they can risk maybe not replacing before the end of the window. That you're going to be able to get when it comes to signing a player who starts for their team, who is crucial, who's really young and a player that a club have invested in. You're not going to go on the right in the couple of days before the end of the window and go, hey, I want him for look, you want to sell this guy because I believe you want to sell this guy, which is the only reason I'm coming to you 2 days before the window closes, because I believe you want to sell him, and so I'm going to lowball you 2 days before the end of the window because I believe you want the money. And you're going to agree to it, and they're going to be like, well, actually, he's a really good player for us. He's really young, so he has really high market. He's got and high potential, so his market value is quite high. He's actually a crucial member of our team, and we don't have enough time to replace him, so this deal's a non-starter. Yeah,
and then Levy goes back to them and goes, all right, having said that, I'll give you 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps for him.
Yeah,
and that's how the negotiations start.
And a free Skywalk.
Yeah, literally, and a free Sky. No, you know what? 50% off the Skywalk.
50% off. Yeah, 50% off. Like the I know obviously we're seeing Cancelo move late in the window, and that's like an anomaly in this day and age.
That's different as well because Cancelo's been out of the team for a while. I mean, he's hardly played.
Yeah, exactly. But when it comes to signing players who are crucial to the team that you're buying from, you're not going to get a deal. You might be able to buy them, but you're not going to be able to buy them for a deal which you're going to be happy with. If Tottenham are in the market of as they say, looking for opportunities, which means basically lowballing teams, trying to get players for under market value, you're not going to go to Bayer Leverkusen 2 days before the window and agree a deal which is under market value. You're going to have to pay over the odds to get him at that point, not under the odds. So it doesn't make sense to me that we only wait to the last of the window to go get someone like Hincapie when Leverkusen are never going to agree to pay to an undervalued bid 2 days before the end of the window. That's the only way you get players that late in the window is because the club is desperate to sell, and I just don't see that situation here.
This club just is so wrong in everything from top to bottom. I mean, we signed Richarlison in the summer for 60 million and everyone's like, oh yeah, they're changing their ways. They're spending such big money on a player that they don't even need when you've got Sonny and Kane there and you're spending 60 million on Richarlison. But then when it comes to a player that you really need, like Pedro Porro or Hincapie, all they want to do is lowball. But then suddenly they just splash out 60 million on Richarlison, which, you know, when we've got Kane and Son, it just doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense at this football club. Mm-hmm. Like, what are they doing?
They should be going hard for the positions we're desperate in, which is what we said in the summer. To be honest, if you're going to spend big in the positions that we need. And if you are going to spend big in the positions that are to improve the depth of the squad, that's fine, but don't make it to the detriment of the other positions.
Exactly. That's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And it's time and time again they're doing it. They're just looking for just opportunities and deals that suit them. Not even if we need them in the squad, just opportunities and deals on certain players. And it's like 2 players have come about in Hincapie, well, more Pedro Porro than Hincapie, where the player's desperate to join us now. We've had deals, you know, we could have matched that release clause on the first day of the window, and now we're left with the tail between our legs because now they don't want to spend an extra 2.5 million. Surely, if it's down to just 2.5 million, that deal, it will get done. Surely.
You have to... we bet things will go nuclear if that's the case and it doesn't get done.
And the last update we've got is about a new signing, people. We've brought in a new player. His name is Jude Soonsup-Bell.
Baller.
Ali
Absolute
Gold
baller.
says Spurs are hoping to sign Chelsea striker Jude Soonsup-Bell this week and initially bolster their academy, but with a prospect of a summer loan. Nazar Kinsella, who's a Chelsea ITK or a Chelsea journalist, says Tottenham are now expected to seal the signing of Jude Soonsup-Bell, who also had a similar offer from Man City, and for what I'm hearing as well, that he's got a medical booked in at Hotspur Way today. So Jude is a 19-year-old. He's got quite a high reputation about him. I believe 2 seasons ago, I was listening to a Chelsea fan who's quite clued up on their academy. He said for the under-18s, this guy was absolutely smashing it, like scoring hat tricks and 4 goals every game. And then this season, he's been having problems off the pitch, injuries, illnesses, and he's fallen down the pecking order for the under-21s, I think it is, and he's now the 3rd choice striker or something. So, and he's also taken on new representative in terms of agencies. So he's looked for the move and he's joining Tottenham. So hopefully that can be one off the production line from the academy, but I won't hold my breath.
Yeah, we'll see. Look, when it comes to academy players, it's hard to judge very young how good they are and how much of a career they're going to have. But we'll have to wait and see. Look, I'm happy that they've identified an academy player and they believe that he could be a very good player for us, which is why they pushed Spurs out and got him. We've seen it a million times, though. You know, players in the academy being amazing and killing it, and then they come to men's football and it's not the same. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm happy that that I'm always gonna be on the side of, like, if you're trying to bring through young players and you've identified players early and you're going to bring them in because you believe in their talent, then that's fine with me. But we'll have to wait and see how he develops. We'll be keeping an eye on him. According to a Bola report out in Portugal regarding Pedro Porro. They have said that Pedro Porro has now asked Ruben Amorim, the manager of Sporting, to help seal his move to Tottenham and seal all the difficulties between them and the board. He clearly wants the deal to go through. Hopefully he can make enough of a push to make Sporting maybe weaken their stance, but we'll have to wait and see. He definitely was saying goodbye.
Of course he was.
After that League Cup final. He clearly was told he was going to be moved to Tottenham. So hopefully he could be a key cog in whether this deal that standstill or the stalemate can be overcome.
Let's just hope the Sporting hierarchy got a bit of Orlas about them, eh?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
Anyway, let's get on to the super chats and then we will start taking your calls. The link is in the community section as we speak. So all you have to do is click that link and come on and have your say. But let's get through the super chats. Jaden saying Levy must be an Arsenal fan. Mikey saying, yay, we win the negotiations, d'Or. What a trophy.
What a trophy. They should have that, the chairman Ballon d'Or. We'll see where Levy would absolutely love that.
Jory, the Jorical says, clubs in Europe hate Levy so much and will go out their way to screw Levy, even if it means problems for themselves. Hashtag Levy out.
Wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. I think half the Premier League hate him.
Who doesn't hate him? Let's be honest. Georgiou with the super chat. Big up, George. He says, this is a symptom of a sick club. The board is the cause. As with any cancer, it might be terminal if it isn't removed. And I think that's absolutely spot on there from George. Michael Hellman, member for 16 months, says, I have absolutely had it with this club. Hashtag Levy out. And Taya Bali with the super chat saying, if the Porro deal falls through, it's on Levy putting his ego over the club potential success yet again. Disgrace. And it's hard to disagree with any of those, to be honest. I think they're all spot on. But look, let's start bringing on the guests now. It's your time to have your say. And let's see. Oh, it's a big one.
Here
first,
we go.
People. It's a big one first.
I think he's ready to explode.
Yeah, I know. He's not even smiling in the back. And when I usually bring him on, he usually gives me a little smile. Not even giving me that today.
Nothing to smile about.
Let's bring him on. Mr. Bryan Gil. Gil, talk to me, my friend.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, good morning or afternoon to you boys. Good afternoon to everyone in the chat. So before we start getting into this, let's just say I need to get off my chest. I've been coming on this channel for about 2.5 years now. And for 2.5 years, I've said the same message throughout. Regardless of the hate I get, regardless of the insults I get, regardless of the hate and insults people that get, regardless if they're part of the group I'm with or not, we get called toxic, we get called negative, we get called plastic, we get fake fans, we get called absolutely every name under the sun. But look what's again, and again, and again, and again. And here we are at the 30th of the month. The 30th of the month. Our number one target deal is up in the air, off, on, maybe off. And the words that we all love to hear, Levy is taking over negotiations, fills me with such confidence, such delight. So for everyone that wants to come, insult me all you want, belittle me all you want, do it to the others. But we're right. We've always been right. We have always said this is going to happen. We've always said everything's a PR stunt. We've always said this person is rotting this football club to its very core and now making it a business or a property magnet. We are rotten to the core. There is one common denominator. There always has been. There always will be until people wake up and realise and stand by people and unite as a fan base to get the football club back. Not the net profits, not the stadium with the multi-purpose things and then no money go back into the club. This man is a pathological liar and everyone falls for it. Well, wake up, because it's happening again. Sorry, Bryan, I had to get that out.
playing devil's advocate here for the other side.
Brian loves devil's advocate.
He loves a good devil's advocate, Brian Daigle does. If it's true that Sporting had agreed a deal, they shook hands and then have woken up, and then Spurs have woken up this morning and they've completely reneged on it, and are starting to put more and more money on top of what was originally agreed. At what point does Tottenham say, look, we've agreed a deal, enough is enough, you can't keep adding more and more money on top of the deal we've agreed?
Well, what can I say, mate? All I can say is how many times have we done it? How many times have we pissed around and pissed managers off and pissed clubs off and pissed players off and pissed chairmen off? He is known for doing this. He did this when we bought Hugo Lloris when it was 1 fee. He got in the training ground, no, we're not paying you that, we're doing this. He's done it with other players time and time again. It's amazing that when this man sets he says, I won't accept a penny less than this, and up front, everyone has to dance to Levy's tune. It's like, okay, that's the fee. And don't get me wrong, Daniel Levy is brilliant at getting bloody the best for players, like the SIP players, and the money he gets. I don't disagree with that. But when he stands out and says, right, you can have this player, but you need to spend this much, and this is how it's done, and he doesn't entertain anything other than that, he has to understand that it works both ways. Not just because you're Daniel Levy, you get to call the tunes of how transfers are done, paid or whatever. If a club has come out all January and said, you want the player, you pay this money, there's no conversation, he's your player. You take him, he's yours. We can't stop you, he's yours. Not these, let's pay in instalments, not, oh, we'll do this and with that. And like you tweeted out, and like Paul O'Keefe said, apparently this clause in this contract was valid up until the last 12 days of the window. He has 19 days to get this deal done. 19 for your number one target. The player that all Spurs fans would identify needs to be the solution since Carl Walker. We've had 4 managers since Potter problem. We've bought, but we've bought cheap and we've bought shit. The most current one being one that Conte did not want. And we can all see that right now by the way he's been treated and the way he's not given game time. If Levy is demanding pay this for a player, well, it works both ways. And you've done this, like Ben said. Ben gave a list, which you were there. There's a list of players where this has happened with us. And if Sporting have done this, do you know what? Fair fucking play, Sporting. Give the bastard a taste of his own medicine. This is what it's come to. You've had time to do this, and here we are on the 30th. I heard you, Sim, saying about the replacements when you were on the Twitter space. The thing is, those replacements will probably be squad filler. How can you get... We can't get our number one target in 30 days. You think we're going to get number one targets or players of that quality done in 1 day? With this man? I don't think so. Do you?
And even if we were to get someone in, I mean, he'll probably won't even be better than Emerson Royale or Matt Doherty, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's what can we do? What can we do? This keeps happening. Keeps happening. And the guy, I'll call out the guy in the comments that just said, yeah, I did say, well done, because the shoe is on the other foot. People don't want to see it. People don't want to admit it. How many times with Christian Eriksen, this is the thing, even in the documentaries going, listen, we're selling you, but we'll sell you for the right price. It's got to be the right price. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. And what happened? It dragged and it dragged. And then when we got the price, bang, done. We've got to stop thinking that it's only Tottenham Hotspur that this happens to. He does this with every chairman, with every deal. And yes, if this goes tits up, there's one person to blame and one person only. And fair play to Sporting doing what we do to other clubs. Fair play, shoes on the other foot. Don't taste as nice.
Karma, Mr. Daigle, isn't it? Absolute karma for Levy.
Correct. Mate, listen, you know, when I've been coming on your show mainly, because obviously this is the first channel I came on. I came on and I've been saying this the whole time. The whole time. Oh, Mum, Ben just said hello, but you missed it. There you go. So there you go. So it's happened. I've been on here so many times and had to say this stuff, and it's like, oh no, Brian don't know what he's talking about. Brian's this, Brian's that. Levy out don't know what they're talking about. All these Levy out fools. Here we are. Here we are. What do you expect?
Do you think? What if the deal, if they can come to an agreement and the deal does get done, then where does that leave us?
It leaves us once again. I mean, listen. All transfer window, there have been clubs struggling against relegation, smashing their their records to get their players in. They don't seem to have a problem. Find the money, they're in a relegation struggle. They don't have a multi-purpose stadium that has events and all the money goes back into the club. They don't pay London price tickets that the fans pay. The hard-working, hard-earning Spurs fans that spend a lot of their money in these hard times to get the money to watch their football team. Those teams don't have that. Those teams don't have the biggest merchandise prices that the fans, the loyal fans, pay the money for. They seem to get their deals done. Middle of the league teams seem to get their deals done. Top of the league, who are pushing for something, seem to get their deals done. Yeah, they might have the odd snag here and there, but the deals get done. And they don't wait till the 30th of the month. But we do. And do you know what's going to make this even better? When these financial reports come out. And we see what we're going to see. And then this deal, whether it goes through or not, however it happens, is going to be made to look stupid. It'll be like, why were you haggling when it's there in plain black and white that the money is there? Because we don't care about the football club. This board do not care about spending money on the football club. They will buy quantity over quality, and to hell with it. As long as they can make their money. Don't forget, we announced we've got Saracens coming in March. Another event where we can make some money. But like I said, Simeon, whether this deal goes through or not, the embarrassment of this for the last 30 days, again, like I said to you before, this is the Adama Traore of last season, with the hint that this one might get over the line. But once again, it's another embarrassment.
Yeah, it really is, Brian. Just to touch on another pretty much confirmed deal in Bryan Gil going out on loan to Sevilla, back to where we got him from. What's your opinions on that one?
Exactly the same as you, Ben. I started to see things at Palace with the way he was playing, and you could see that there is something there. Yes, he needs to bulk up. Yes, he needs to improve on his weight and get some more minutes. But I would have liked it to be into an English club, and he was showing bits. I don't understand why he's gone. I don't know why he is the one we're getting rid of. And again, we're even getting our players out late. So even if we do need to replace them, yes, Dan Zuma's come in, but there's talk of other players going out. Where's the time to get them in? I
don't think any other attacking players will go out by now. If Lucas Moura can be an option from now until the end of the season, I guess it's okay. But if Lucas Moura ain't going to be an option from now until the end of the season, then we're leaving ourselves a little bit short, in my opinion.
Like same shit, different day, mate. Same shit, different day when it comes to this football club. Like I said, I am with you with Bryan Gil, though. I have started to think that there is something. I still think he's got a long way to go. But from whereas I wouldn't have been bothered in the slightest, like, what was the point of that signing? I do want to see him succeed at Tottenham Hotspur. And it looks like you said, Simeon, there's a picture of him at Sevilla Airport, yeah?
Yeah. There's a video, yeah. He's just arrived in Seville, so it looks like that one's pretty much done now.
You
can pretty much say that one's done. We're just going to have to wait and see for the rest of the window.
What about our brand new signing, Brian? Jude Soonsup-Bell from Chelsea having his medical today, apparently.
Oh, wonderful news. Stop everything. Stop the protest. Stop everything. It's all good. We signed another one for the future, but we'll have about 6 different managers before he gets anywhere for free. What is the point? What is the point of it? Yeah. Really?
Very frustrating day. Very frustrating day to be a Spurs fan right now, Brian. But I guess all we can do is hope and pray that something does get done before the end of the window. But it is deadline day tomorrow. So the time is running out. Tick-tock, Tottenham Hotspur.
That's
Wow.
what I would say. I mean, time is running out. But go on, Simon. Was you about to say something?
No, nothing.
Okay. Well, the one thing I will say, whether this deal goes ahead or whether this deal doesn't, people wanting to know and wanting to vent their frustrations opposite the club shop. And I repeat that again because there's something going around from someone saying outside the club shop, which is not what we plan to do because that's just not on. We will be opposite the club shop from before kickoff, 2-3 hours before kickoff in the normal spot. People ask when we went to the training ground, why aren't you doing it on a match day? We'll come if you're doing it on a match day. Well, we're doing it on a match day and hopefully throughout the match. So if you are going to the game, please, if you're leaving out, forsake the pre-match pint, forget the pre-match burger or whatever in that ground. Get something to eat outside, grab a beer or whatever, come and stand with us. Come and stand with us. We are going to be there, and if this falls through, then like you put it this way, Simon, you said you're going. It will go nuclear. Well, as you probably already there. I'm already there. Always have been. I've just been waiting to ignite, and Sunday will be the day, or tomorrow will be the day. We'll find out. But that protest is going ahead. We're trying to find out what we can do inside, depending on the numbers. Obviously, Levy out will be sung throughout, and that ain't going away. That ain't going away because once again, here we are on the 30th January, twiddling our thumbs and having to deal with the shit that we do every single window.
All right, Bryan, we'll speak to you very soon. Thanks for coming on today, and try and have a good day.
I will do. And as always, Levy out.
Nice one, Bryan.
Big up, Daigle. A couple of super chats to get through. One from Rashad Chowdhury saying, love you, Bryan. And one from Lee Richards saying, Levy's usual game of playing in installments and not paying the fee up front gave Sporting the opportunity to pull a strike like this. This is on Levy. And let's go on to our next caller. Alex Samuels, we haven't seen him in a while. Last time he tried to come on, everything broke down. But let's see what he has to say today. Alex, how are you, my friend?
Oh, can you hear me, guys? Is that
yeah?
I can hear you
Good.
perfectly.
All good.
all good?
I feel like the angle of the camera is very strategic from you, Alex. Just saying.
Oh no, it's I'm using the iPad today. So yeah. No.
His room is clean. His room is clean.
Exactly. We'll take your word for it. We'll take your word for it.
It's actually really not today. But yeah, no, because today I woke up like 10 o'clock, and I saw the news. Just waking up, I was like, "What?" Like my eyes were like just reading all the Twitter notifications. Like, what the hell has happened while I've been asleep?
Yeah.
I honestly think this is a really interesting and complicated situation that we find ourselves in right now. There are so many angles to look at it, and I as much as obviously I'm a huge Tottenham fan, and I want Tottenham to do the best they can in negotiations. I think it's a really interesting situation for me to look at, and because we're really seeing that Sporting are really going head to head with us and are really testing our mettle really. And we've seen Daniel Levy is now taking over the negotiations from CA base, which I think is
that a good thing or a bad thing, Alex?
Well, Paul O'Keefe said it's an absolute shit show what's happened with CA base and how they've handled this, because it seems like they didn't tell us that about the 12-day period before the end of the window when the release clause wouldn't be active, because obviously that was kind of our bargaining position, wasn't it? We'll say, okay, we'll just, if you're not going to play ball, we'll take out a credit facility and pay the 45 million in one go, and have to pay interest on it. Fine. That was basically the position we had. And if we've now lost that negotiating position, it puts us in a real dangerous situation. Because then Sporting can just say, give us an extra 5 million. Actually, you know what? Give us an extra X number. It can be literally anything they want. So,
Alex, is it in Sporting's best interests at this stage of the deal to keep Pedro Porro with where his head's at?
Was it in our best interest to keep Harry Kane when he wanted to leave?
That's true. That's also true.
you know, an important
But the
player
fact
for
of
a
the matter
club.
is, Man City never stumped up anywhere close to what we were asking for. At least we had a deal agreed with Sporting.
No, that's true. But players, you know, from someone who's looking after a football club, you're the CEO, you're the director of a football club, get over it. You know, it's business, isn't it? It's just,
And the end of the day, if Porro keeps dreaming of that big move in the summer, if it doesn't go through now, he's going to have to keep up his standards. Otherwise, that big move might not come in the summer. So at the end of the day, he'll probably go over it after a couple of weeks.
Exactly. Same with Caicedo for Arsenal. I know they don't have a deal agreed, but they're basically reaching the price the Brighton one anyway, and they're probably going to say no. So, you know, say Enzo Fernandez as well. You know, these players are just going to have to keep on performing and hope for some move. And, you know, it's funny, like with Dybala, for example, a few years back, everyone's like, oh, we'll go get him in January. But things change in football very quickly. You know, things happen, other targets emerge. City probably are going to fancy it, which I think the Cancelo news was really interesting. Very, very interesting. I have no idea if their buyback is available right now for Porro. There might be certain timings, like the release clause had, for example. I've got no idea. It'd
be so classic, though, wouldn't it be, Alex, if they do just strike on a deal, Man City now, and he makes his debut against us this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely heartbreaking, but that's just it, isn't it? The funny thing is, I actually think this deal is still going to get done. I do think it's going to get done, funnily enough, because if it doesn't, and with Daniel Levy now taking over negotiations, we all know that now, and he is directly responsible for it, and he knows that we know, probably. So, I mean, that Man City game will be absolutely toxic, and it will go to hell if this doesn't go through. But it just shows, you know, what kind of an important player he is, and it is quite rare that we get an opportunity to have a massive upgrade in one of the most key positions tactically for our team, which is the wing-back role. And we have a player who fulfills the objectives of being someone for the future, someone for now, and someone whose price might even rise if he does very well. And those are the things which Tottenham really look for in a deal, aren't they? So, or the perfect deal. Sometimes not even fit for the present. It's usually fit for the future, isn't it? In the past. Yeah. So, you know, I despite David Ornstein saying it's off, you know, I still think this deal is going to get done. I really do.
Alex, let me ask you this though: with the situation we're in right now, a lot of blame is being thrown around, but in your eyes, with the way Sporting have dealt with the negotiations, and with Tottenham as well leaving it so late to start these negotiations, how much blame do you attribute to Levy and Enoch for the situation we are currently in?
This is probably the most interesting part of it, because I think we've been led to believe that Tottenham had very limited input into these negotiations. It seemed to be the players' representatives that were negotiating with Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, they would have had input from Tottenham of what the price they were willing to pay, etc., that sort of thing. I think at the end of the day, if this window shuts and he is not a Tottenham player, or we do not have another quality right wing back in the squad, then that is the fault of the hierarchy. There is no doubt about it. Having Danjuma on a loan with an option to buy as our only incoming in the January transfer window is completely unacceptable. No matter what's happened in the negotiations with Sporting Lisbon, right? Sporting Lisbon may have asked for 100 million more. It would still be our fault because there was a release clause that was able to be paid. And I was of the belief that, no, we shouldn't pay the release clause at the time when it was active. And I think that's actually quite fair, because it's very hard for clubs to stump up that amount of money in one go, typically. You see it very rarely. For example, Luis Diaz, they had to, with Liverpool last year when they took him from us last second, they paid Porto a very large sum of that fee up front, and it was very hard for them to do so, or David Ornstein reported at the time. Mm-hmm. So I don't blame us for not activating the release clause, but there are ways around that. You can take out a credit facility, a loan to, and you just pay interest on the 45 million and pay it in the same installments. There are ways you can do around it. So at the end of the day, it is still majorly the fault of the hierarchy if this deal doesn't go through.
Very frustrating, Alex. Very frustrating. But I hope, I mean, I wish I could share your kind of beliefs of it's going to get done. I just feel like, I don't know, I just can't see it happening at the moment. But if it is only about 2.5 million and about these fees that they're talking about, surely it has to get done, right?
Yes, but you know, it's Tottenham, and we are going to be petty as hell in this, I'm sure. You know, if they've come round and basically said, up yours, we want 2.5 million more. It doesn't matter if they agree to pay it, they're asking for an extra 2.5 million or something like that. You know, Tottenham aren't going to be happy, but they're also holding us over a barrel, aren't they? Because they'll be well informed of our situation, and that we're not in a completely desperate. It's not a disaster or crisis at the club. It's not that stage, but you could be getting there if we don't get our key targets in. And they will be well aware.
And how much do you think of this negotiation comes down to Levy maybe putting his ego aside a bit and having to play ball with Sporting? Or do you think if we stay strong, Sporting will, but before the deadline, soften their stance?
You know what? I actually think it comes down to the Man City element of it and what the conditions of the buyback are. Because if they're looking at it and he's already said goodbye, he's set to leave, and we're willing to pay 40 million plus add-ons for him right now, but in the summer City can come back in from 25 million? I think something like that.
I think it was 15 million I heard, but yeah, I'm not sure.
15? Yeah, something like that, right? But a very, very small figure compared to what we're willing to pay, less than half or something like that. You know, then it's interesting. I'd want to know those details if I was Tottenham, because then that's something you could use as leverage. But yeah, that's why I think. I still do think there is a chance he's going to be coming in. But if it doesn't happen, there's going to be hell to pay, honestly. And because how can you mess up the priority signing you've had all month to get him through the door? And there was a release clause which you could have as a negotiation point and say, I can understand why we didn't pay up front. I get that. But, that's what negotiations for, and we've seemingly messed it up.
And yeah, and Alex, it's so frustrating when you see, for example, Liverpool had Gakpo lined up before the window even opened. You have Chelsea negotiating for players before the window opened and things like that. Yeah, we continuously, for key targets that we're desperate for, wait so late in the window, and there's always a chance something like this can happen when you put all your eggs in a basket this late when you know that time is running out. Lisbon kind of have us where they want us in a way right now.
Exactly, that's what I said. They've got us over a barrel. They know he's our priority target, and probably seemingly the only major target. I know you guys said earlier about there being a potential other option in Spain, but he's clearly quality, this guy, and he suits us seemingly perfectly, and Tottenham probably thinks so as well. That's why they're going to hopefully pay the money for him if we can. Yeah. But that if it is our fault if we've left it this long, because you do see deals being wrapped up before this time in advance, and unfortunately, as much as I want to be fair and say, okay, they've and the hierarchy have done this well, and try and give them their dues when it needs to be said. There is no excuse, and it is a repeated pattern of them leaving deals to the last section of a window and letting things run on. Like, I mean, Dybala probably is another good example. We left that very, very late, seemingly. Maybe, we left it the final few hours, and that's why we ran out of time, because we couldn't sort the legal issues out with that deal, for example. So
it's happened time and time again, Alex. It's happened with so many different players.
Exactly. And that is a pattern which I don't know. I can think of another club which has a similar sort of pattern. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe my knowledge just isn't there. But I can't really think of another top club which does this. So
there is no other club that does this.
Exactly.
Never mind top club. There's no other club that does this at all.
Yeah, and Alex, let me as well. Like, there's rumours that we're interested in exploring a deal for Hincapie, like over the last couple of days of the window, which obviously seems very unlikely. But I don't understand the logic if you're going to go for a player like Hincapie, who's very crucial to the team he's playing for right now, and if we're only in the market for quote opportunities, then what is the value of waiting till the last couple of days of the window and expecting Leverkusen to accept a lowball offer for one of their key players? I just don't understand that tactic, unless you're expecting them to be so desperate to sell that they're going to sell a key player for a lowball offer over the last couple of days of the window. I don't understand the logic in only going for him now.
Yeah, opportunity FC, isn't it? And we'll try and make the opportunity if the opportunity isn't there. With that Hincapie stuff, I would have a bit of caution because it was I think Build who was the source for that. It was a tier 2 reported.
Didn't Dan Kilpatrick say we're exploring a deal, but it's unlikely? Didn't he say that or something?
Yeah, but it was I think the fee that Build said was 25 million euros. I think,
which is never going to be accepted.
Yeah, I think it was euros. No, of course it's not. It's what classic lowball offer. We all remember 3 million plus Onoma, the famous,
exactly,
the most famous one. Yeah, look, I've always thought that to get a top quality centre back, you'd have to wait to the summer, and if that is obviously not going to happen, I think Tottenham putting in a few derisory bids, I don't actually care about it too much because I don't really think it was going to happen anyway. Maybe it should happen, but I think they'll be asking for silly money because if you remember, this is a post World Cup January window. I mean, look at Enzo Fernandez. The money for him is just ridiculous. I mean, Chelsea willing to go up to 120 million for him. It seems above his release clause. So I wouldn't expect that we'd go for a player like that who's had a great World Cup and that's really what's taken him to the next level in terms of status. I wouldn't really expect us to go and sign something like that, to be honest.
Yeah, and I just don't understand the incentive of Leverkusen to sell right now for a fee that we would be interested in paying. I don't see the point in even exploring it. Like if we're going to really go, if we want him, we should go for earlier because it gives them time to replace him if they need to. Otherwise, why I don't understand the incentive of any club right now to sell a player who's crucial to their team. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. The only options and opportunities you're going to get are players that the selling club don't really want or are happy to see go. And if you're going for a player who's starting every week and crucial to their team, you're going to have to pay over the odds, not under the odds late in the window. So the later it goes, the higher the value is going to go in this day and age, I feel, instead of the opposite, unless the club are desperate to sell.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. You're spot on with that. I just think we hear probably 20% of what actually goes on through the media of what actually happens in football. I think speaking to people in the game, that's really the number that people say. Like 20% of it happens. We got wind of a situation at Leverkusen, for example. I think Leverkusen are actually in negotiations to get Felipe from Madrid. I think, is it Leverkusen? They're going head to head with Forest.
Okay.
I think it was Leverkusen. Fabrizio Romano was reporting. I might be wrong on that, but yeah. So look, maybe we've gotten wind of something with that situation. Potentially, that's why it's happened. But apart from that, I can't really justify it. As you say, surely it would be over the odds rather than under the odds. So yeah, but I think it's definitely one to watch for the summer, as well as Bastoni with the left centre back position, where they both play.
Just before you go, obviously Bryan Gil is currently signing for Sevilla on loan until the end of the season. Lucas Moura looking like he's going to be back in the frame for the remainder of the season. What's your opinion on letting Bryan Gil go on loan to Spain again?
I don't really get it personally. I mean, surely there is a club in the Premier League that wants to take a chance on Bryan Gil, right? Surely. There must be no interest from England if he's gone to Sevilla again. And I saw a tweet. I think it might have been Dan Kilpatrick. I'm not entirely sure. But after 18 months, Sevilla have ended up with Eric Lamela, 21 million, and Bryan Gil.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So
They have mugged us
get
blind, absolutely mugged us.
Not all of them can work out for Fabio Paratici. It seems he can't have all of them go well, but not a great deal. Looking a year and a half on, has it? Even send him to just a different league like Germany or something. I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Either England or Germany. Even in the Championship, I would accept it. At least it's literally. Yeah. So
pay his, if he goes Championship, pay his wages. Just something. Take a very, very small loan fee just so he gets the experience. And that I don't get it, to be honest. I don't get it. But seemingly there was no interest in England, which is a big shame. I like Bryan Gil. I think there is definitely a player in there. I just don't know, and we haven't seen any substantial evidence over time. Not that he's been given the opportunity really to actually prove that he can do it in the Premier League. So, I don't know.
Would you rather have, from now to the end of the season, Bryan Gil as an option or Lucas Moura as an option?
Bryan Gil.
Yeah, me as well.
100%. But because we've seen that Bryan Gil at times can contribute to the team, and Lucas, in the part he's been good in the past. He's so unreliable right now. Not by he's got injury problems, not to do with anything else. You want to count on him. Count on Bryan Gil, but looks like he's in Spain about to do his medical, which is a shame.
Well, over 24 hours to go. The window does slam shut tomorrow, so I guess we'll have to wait and see if anything can happen on the Porro deal and any last-minute opportunities. But Alex, thanks for coming on today, my friend.
No, thank you, guys. Hopefully something can happen. I'm hopeful at least, which usually I'm quite negative. So that's something.
All right.
No,
well, I'm sticking to your word, Alex. I'm sticking to your word. Big up. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Cheers. A few more super chats. One from DJ Samuel, member for 10 months, saying Levy has been getting away with it all his life. And Tom Edgell saying, just watch him go to City now. They have a buyback. Yeah, I'll be surprised if that buyback is still an option. I'm guessing it's like the release clause. It was probably not active last 12 days of the window, but that's just a guess and just an assumption. So anyway, let's keep going with the guests and let's bring on Stelios. Stelios, how you doing, man?
Hello, how are you?
Another day in paradise.
Yeah, do you know, I was going to come on and just rant, but then I thought, what's the point? There's no more point in ranting about anything anymore because nothing actually changes. But I do want to say the last guest, Alex, who said that normally he's negative. You're not negative, Alex. You're honest. Having an honest opinion is not negative. So don't let the world make you think that you're a negative person when you speak. You're not. You're honest. It's just the trolls call us negative. So I just wanted to quickly jump on that because I heard Alex say it. But yeah, I'll ask you both a question, Bellinson. Are you surprised this is happening?
No, not at all, to be honest.
No, I'm not shocked. Nothing shocks me anymore with this club. But look, having had the deal seemingly wrapped up, it's extremely frustrating that we're here a day before the window and the deal was in the balance. But only Tottenham could be in this position with how we do business. But still, I asked the other two guys, if Sporting have done like what is being suggested and reneged on the deal, having already agreed one, and are now asking for more money, having already agreed a fee with Tottenham, then what should the position be at Tottenham? Should they just swallow their pride and all right, we'll pay more money, or are they right to say, look, we've agreed a deal and we should stick by that deal we've agreed?
It's interesting, isn't it? How when Sporting Lisbon moved the goalposts, they're being difficult and they're using unsavoury tactics. But when Daniel Levy moves the goalposts, he's played a blinder. It's always funny how fans flip-flop when it suits them when it comes to Daniel Levy. I think what we're seeing right now is a case of ruthless business in action. Sporting Lisbon are just being brutally ruthless with us. And you know what? They hold all the cards. They've got the leverage. They've got the advantage. We are now in a desperate situation because if we don't get this deal over the line, you bet Conte is going to come out with comments once the window shuts that aren't going to be helpful. You bet the fans are going to go parabolic. And the team will go into the second half of the season with the almighty Danjuma raising the spirits and bringing it home. So, Sporting, they are the ones playing a blinder right now, and this is what happens when you go into a transfer window without proper planning, with the sporting director dealing with criminal allegations on his head. And Daniel Levy doing what he always does, lastminute.com. We've said it. How many years have we said about leaving things to the last minute? It's like when you're at university and you've got exams and you don't study, and then 2 days before the final exam, you realise, oh shit, I better open the textbooks and learn, otherwise I'm not going to pass. And then you do all-nighters, you're drinking cans of Red Bull, 16 cups of coffee, staying up late, trying to learn enough information so you can go and pass your exam. Basically, Daniel Levy is doing what every student in the country does the night before the exam. He's trying to learn what needs to be done to pass the exam. So, yeah, I'm not even sick to death or fed up of it, Ben and Sim. I've banged that drum as hard as I can. Levy out, Enoch out. And until the fan base wakes up and gets a grip and stops throwing this whole, you guys are toxic, you guys are negative, you guys are this. No, we're right. And, you know, when you hear people say things like, oh, but look at Everton, thank God we're not like them, look at the new owners over there, look what the new owners will do. Why would you focus on the worst new ownership you possibly could? Why not focus on what the new owners at Leicester did, or what the new owners at Liverpool did, or what the current new owner at Chelsea is trying to do? Why can't we focus on the positive new ownerships and sink the conversation into the negative new ownership of Everton? You know, I will be stunned if a new ownership got this club relegated with the money we make. You know, there's a positive outcome from a new ownership. At least at a minimum, Ben and Sim, a restructure. You know, if you look at a company like Gymshark, have you heard of Gymshark, the sportswear company?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they've been around for about 10, 11 years. They've had 3 major restructures in ownership, share ownership, CEO, operational manager, opening up the company to a new, I think it's a 22% stake of an American organization who've bought part of the company so they can take it global. There's been a constant restructure and a reshuffle at the board level, chairmanship, CEO. And the company continues to go in the right direction. And the reason they've done all those restructures is to move with the times, is to keep evolving. Tottenham Hotspur, we've had the same chairman and board for 22 years. There's no restructure. Tottenham, for me, is stale. It's a stale club. It's got mouldy cheese in the board. It's become a rotten egg. It needs a refresh. Even if you're not going to change the ownership, the board needs to be replenished with a new vision, a new way of doing things, a chairman with a different vision, a different method of behaviour towards the football team. We've just become this stale club that repeats the same failed processes and methods over and over again. Like, if we want Tottenham to be successful, guys, we've got to look at what we're doing. And we've got this new stadium, new training ground infrastructure. What is the point of all of that? What is the point of it if we're going to get the same outcomes we've been used to since 2010, when we first got top 4? Harry Redknapp, Daniel Levy, well done. You got us to top 4. But the 12 years afterwards, you haven't progressed us on the pitch. That's all we are, at best. A top 4 contender. No more than that. And that says
and that's
to me,
all we're going to be.
the vision, the plan, the method, and that's all we're going to be, because the vision, the plan, the method is stale. It needs a complete new ownership, or a board that's refreshed, a chairman to step away now. Just remove yourself, man. Step down. It's the same thing over and over again. And I'll tell you what, if we do get Porro over the line, it doesn't change anything for me, not one bit, because the life and soul and excitement of this has been sucked out of us. It's not going to be exciting for me if we get him. Alex was saying how, you know, potentially we'll get Bastoni in the summer, and you guys were asking about this 19-year-old we've signed, and who cares? Like, who actually cares? Because we don't know who the manager is going to be. You can clearly see there's no long-term plan with what we're doing. We're winging it. We're literally making it up as we go along. The fact that Bryan Gil was even at Spurs, Longley, the fact Bergwijn came in and out, Gedson Fernandez in and out, the fact that we think Dan Juma's a good signing. You know, the same fans who said in the summer, Clement Longley and Perisic are very underwhelming signings. You know, they're freebies, or they're stopgaps. What's Dan Juma? He's a cheap loan deal stopgap. He's no different to the same signings fans were saying are underwhelming. And now they're saying, you know, this is good, it makes sense. It does not make sense bringing in players that aren't of a high quality. Because I don't compare us to what Brighton are doing, to what's happening at Everton, to what Aston Villa and Unai Emery are doing. I don't compare us to those clubs, guys. We're a top 6 club. We are called by the media, Sky Sports, BT, Talk Sports, fan channels. We are called a top 6 club. So compare us to Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United. Compare us to those clubs. Otherwise, stop calling Tottenham a top 6 club. It's a fraudulent statement to say we're a top 6 club, but we're going to compare ourselves to Brighton and Everton. I mean, that holds no grounds whatsoever for a debate. You look at Arsenal. They realised they needed a refresh. They brought in Edu. They brought in Vinay CEO. Josh Kroenke's son came in and got involved. They put a plan together. They interviewed a manager that can put the plan together and bring it all together as one. And they went for it. And they haven't stopped going for it. They replenished the top level. They refreshed it. And they're reaping the rewards of it now. You know, they go into January, top of the table, games in hand, with a point gap over Manchester City, and they go and buy Trossard for 27 million. We bid 12 million. It's fucking embarrassing. They go and bid 60 million for Moses Caicedo. Brighton said no. So they come back with 70 million. Brighton have said no. You bet they're going to come back again. We're haggling, dilly-dallying, bouncing left, bouncing right, not reading the contracts properly, not knowing there's a clause in the clause. Why have corporate lawyers to conduct the due diligence of the legalities, and they can't spot there's a clause in the clause? If they did, then we've mismanaged the negotiation. So we don't behave
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, Stel, because CAA base are the ones that were doing the deal, right? Daniel Levy apparently wasn't in the negotiations with that. They're supposed to be acting for the player and also very close to Spurs. And don't tell me for a second that they didn't know about this release clause expiring with 12 days to go. They should have made Tottenham aware of that from the first day of the negotiations. I don't see why they didn't.
Ben, I totally agree. And if anyone's going to now go and blame this group CAA, well, who appointed them to do the work? If people are going to blame Paratici, like some people are blaming Paratici. Who hired him? Who hired Paul Mitchell, Kamoli, Arneson, Baldini? Who hired all these head scouts and sporting directors that all seem to fail at the job? For me, guys, it's very simple. Nothing will ever change at Tottenham. It's not going to change. We are what we are now. There's only 2 ways things change at Tottenham. One, the fans take massive action. Or Enoch, the owner, says, right, I'm replenishing the board. I'm bringing in a new chairman. We've got to go a different vision. We've got to go down a different route. But why would Enoch do that when the money's coming in with a third highest match day revenue earning club in Europe? In Europe, we're punching above Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Liverpool. What a heavyweight group of clubs we're beating in the financials. We've delayed the financial reports because we know what's going to be in there. Record profits, you know? So why would they change it when the money's coming in? And this is what we're dealing with. It's literally, right now, guys, we're in a battle. Football club versus money-making machine. We can be both, but you need a chairman with vision that's going to balance the two and deliver it. And right now, sad as it is, the one club that is showing that vision and that balance is Arsenal.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say that.
It's true. It's absolutely spot on. And, you know, you thought that when Spurs finished in the Champions League, Arsenal finished in the Europa League, the trajectories of the two clubs, Arsenal might have gone that way, Spurs might have gone that way with the investment that Enoch put in, with the Champions League money, with the revenue money, top 3 revenues in Europe or something crazy like that. And we're still acting like the Europa League club we were 15 years ago. What is going on?
I mean, I think when Conte came in, we were prepared to give it a chance because it's the first time ever we brought in an elite manager who was current, who's still doing the big stuff now. He wasn't on the way out. And we were prepared to wait until the summer because the Kulusevski deals worked out so good for Tottenham. We thought, right, we seem to be on the right track. We're bringing in the right type of players. We've got to wait for the summer. But then after that summer, so many of us felt underwhelmed. I remember, I don't know a fan channel that gave it more than a 7 out of 10. I mean, I remember giving it a 5 or a 6. I think most people gave it a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why the season's kind of gone the way it is. We've been a bit unlucky with a few injuries to Kulu and Richarlison. I think as well, now playing 2-3 games a week, the squad is showing its weakness. We're not able to rotate without a massive drop-off in performance. And we've come to January, the last chance to save the season and try and do something good and show to the manager that we've got, look, we are thinking big. We are being ambitious like you ask us to be. And we're in major jeopardy of ending this transfer window with Dan Juma. I mean, it's diabolical for me. It's absolutely shocking when you consider the prices we pay as fans, the money we're making as a club, top 6 club status. I find it. Simply unacceptable. It's unacceptable if we end this window with Dan Juma, and every fan should do something about that. In my view, that's my.
I completely agree. It's totally unacceptable to be just left with Dan Juma. But if we did bring in Dan Juma, that was with a Porro and with a top centre back like a Hincapie, you know, everyone could stomach it because, you know, Dan Juma's not exactly the worst player in the world. I know the stats don't back up that he's a great player and all that kind of stuff, but if we brought in 3 of those players, you can actually stomach it and it would be a good window. But to be left with just Dan Juma, it's an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
Ben and Sim, it's the same thing has happened again. An opportunity has arisen, okay? An opportunity arose when Redknapp got us into a title race, and we did nothing about it in terms of an ambitious move.
Don't be silly. We brought in Nelson and
took
Saha.
us to the brink. Yeah, I mean, we've got to get some statues built of them too, put it outside the West Stand and celebrate the momentous occasion. But, you know, Pochettino, same thing. Got us into a great position, and we went through 18 months of no signings. Mourinho got us to a final, sacked him. We are now, yet again, the gods have said, Tottenham, there you go. Chelsea, mid-table. Liverpool, mid-table. The only so-called big clubs in the FA Cup left after round 4 are City, United and Tottenham. We've got a chance, man. The opportunity has opened. Go in this window, get the magical wonderful players through the door, and let's go for FA Cup glory. Let's do it. The gods have said, here's a chance. And we risk ending with Danjuma, which will give us what? FA Cup failure eventually, probably miss out on top 4, and the inevitable crashing out of the Champions League. Like, that is 100% on the ownership of Tottenham. And look, opinions are opinions. I respect everyone's opinion. But any fan that comes on this show, my show, his show, her show, radio, and says, this is not on the board, after all the opportunities that have arisen in the past that we didn't take, to do it again now, I'm sorry. Daniel Levy needs to step down as chairman of Tottenham Hotspur. You have to remove yourself. It's that simple for me, guys. So, but we might still get Pedro Porro, right? There's still one day. We still might do it. I'm being honest, right? I'm being honest. We still might do it. It's the reality. But I will feel underwhelmed now. I will feel underwhelmed because of the way it's been done. It just feels all very knee-jerk, panicky. And I feel now we're going to try and get this deal done more to save Levy's position as chairman, as opposed to doing the right thing. The right thing right now is for Tottenham to walk away from the deal. That's the right thing to do, if I'm honest. But had we have done this deal early in the window, we could have laid down a marker, said to the sporting chairman, look, we've gone back and forth, we've agreed this, we've agreed that, you keep moving the goalposts. 15th of January, deadline. You take it or leave it. If you take it, let's get the deal done. Sign, exchange the money, do the paperwork. If you don't, or you want to move the goalposts again, we're walking away. We wish you all the best. And then we've got 15 days to try and find something else that is worthwhile. But because we've now left it to the last minute, it really is going to come down to one or two things. Do you want to save Daniel Levy from getting absolutely roasted in that stadium against Man City? Or do you do the right thing by the business and walk away from the deal and not let anyone bully you? That's what it's going to come down to for me now. So
get the deal done, man. Just get the deal done. This is just so embarrassing.
Yeah, I think Levy's former, like, I think back in the day when you used to leave things to the last minute, I think a lot of the times you could have got a very good deal, but previously clubs were more willing to maybe accept lowball offers like late in the day when money was more scarce. But nowadays, I think the later you leave it, the higher you're going to pay, and that's how the market's gone. Unless you're going for a player that the selling club don't want. If you're going for a player that the selling club is vital for them, then more often than not in this day and age, you're going to have to pay over the odds, not under the odds, which Levy seems to think.
absolutely. And there's negotiators who are top of their game. This is high level elite sport business that we're talking about. There are some seriously talented negotiators involved. And there will be negotiators advising Sporting Lisbon. That club's in turmoil. The fans on social media are turning against the board. Conte's calling them out. Push down on those buttons. Put the heat on the club. Get that extra 2 million because they are desperate. And that's going to play into the psychology of the negotiation. That's what high-level negotiators do, guys. They come at it from angles and power plays and last-minute manoeuvres to get the best out of the deal. That's why agents get 10% of multi-million-pound deals. That's why negotiators get paid the money they get paid. That's why Paratici is on £2 million a year. This is serious income for these people to do these jobs. Crazy money. Why? Because this is what it's about. And the people that Sporting have got in place right now, they know the position we're in as a club. And they're doing exactly what Daniel Levy would do to them if the roles were reversed.
Absolutely spot on. But still, by the end of the transfer window, by midnight tomorrow night, will we have Pedro Porro?
I think I'm going to end up in A&E with Bryan on the machine. Out of bloody stress. Will we have him? I think personally that there's too much to lose for the owners and chairman on a status, emotional and backlash position to not get it done. And I think when push comes to shove, I think we're going to break and we're going to have to cave in. So on that basis, I think, yes, we will get him. If we don't, Spurs Man City is going to be one hell of a toxic game. Very toxic game.
And the remainder of the season, never mind just that game. I think it will be for the remainder of the season, literally.
Yeah, I mean, look, if results go south and people look back at the January window and say nothing was done, then yeah, you're right. You're right, Ben. I think results will determine that. But for me, our defence, if we can't keep a clean sheet against Aston Villa, which we lost, if we capitulate defensively against Arsenal, a 2-0 lead against Man City, then the defence completely flopped. If that's what we're going to get for the rest of the season, and we didn't bring in one of the defenders to help that, yeah, fans aren't going to accept, and rightly so. Fans shouldn't accept it anyway. Guys, do you know what? Scott M, the Canadian fan, he said it's spot on. It is the quote of the century. When Pochettino said we need to go for a painful rebuild, Scott M last week said we're getting the pain without the rebuild.
Literally. It's just painful. Never mind,
pain.
just painful. Absolutely spot on. That is absolutely
Well, you can
spot
say
on.
Levy got half of it right, at least.
Yeah. All right, we'll give him credit. He's halfway there. He's halfway there.
Exactly.
All right, Stel,
Nice one, Stel.
always a pleasure, my friend. We'll speak to you next time. Hopefully, the next time we speak, we will have a new signing.
Fingers crossed. Let's see.
All right, see you later,
Nice one,
Stel.
Stel.
Big up. All right, let's keep going and let's go to Mikey.
Hey,
Hey, Mikey, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm crafting the negotiation Dior trophy as we speak.
Yeah, you doing it?
I seriously, you know, I don't know why I expected anything different.
We all just gas ourselves up, get so excited about these players, and then ultimately just fall flat on our faces the majority of times. I mean, do you think this deal's going to get done?
No, I don't. I think if we do reach another agreement, what's to stop Sporting asking for more? They've done it once, and if we cave into that, what's to stop them asking for more and more and more till the end of the window? You know, You said it. You said it yourself. The player will get over it in 1 or 2 weeks, as one of you guys said, and ultimately Sporting will move on, knowing they've got probably the best attacking wing back in the country. We saw what he can do against us. He had Perisic on ice a few times in the games against us, if I remember correctly, and for good reason. City saw something in him, and ultimately, he's proved that with 11 assists. Now, I know obviously Alex Telles had that same kind of output in Portugal, and he came to the country and didn't do so well. But he was a left back. This is a right wing back. He's given the license to roam. So, dear God, we need him.
Yeah, it's a really difficult scenario at the moment. It's difficult to get your head around how we're in the situation. But for you, Mikey, if Sporting have reneged on a deal which has already been agreed, then how much blame do you apportion to the hierarchy for you?
I don't blame them for the Sporting deal going south. I blame them that we're in this position with 1 day left of the window to go. I think that's the most appropriate way to say it. I think you look at everything that's gone on with the transfer window. I'm reading that Everton have submitted a £45 million bid for Gallagher as we speak. And, Sean Dyche has been in the door 5 minutes. And even though they're a club in turmoil, they're still laying down a marker saying, all right, you want an energetic midfielder? Bam, there you go. 45 million on the table for Gallagher. And we're haggling over 3 million in administration fees or whatever the figure was. Like, that just shows the different mindsets between the club. Everton are crisis ridden. They are the laughing stock of the entire Premier League. They are capitulating, and they still have said, even with their financial restrictions, they've gone, we're going to work around it. And you know what? There's what you want. You want Gallagher? We may overpay with him, but if he gets you out of a relegation zone, that 45 million will look like peanuts. So there you go. There's your player. And that just shows the difference. Even The guy before was saying about Everton. There's a difference there. You know, they've had a manager in the door 5 minutes, and he said what he wants. They've guaranteed it to him, even if the deal doesn't go through. That shows massive intent. And we've been going over one player for a month, and he's been in 5 minutes, and they're already as about as close to a deal as we are. Same money, different players, and that just shows me what Tottenham are and what Tottenham always have been. Hagglers, always have been, but for the large majority of the last 10 years or so, just trying to get any kind of win. It's like I said this to my girlfriend, it's like a pathological thing with Levy. He has to get some sort of win. Even if it's £1 million lower than what they wanted, he has to get some sort of win.
Mm-hmm.
And that is his ego, whatever you want to call it, talking, and that is ultimately why we're in this situation now. I don't blame him for the negotiations going south. That's on Sporting and their dirty tactics, but he's done it before, so why not have it done to us for a change? It's two sides to every coin.
What do you think? How does it end? Do you think Tottenham bite the bullet and just bow to Sporting, or do you think Sporting soften their stance, or do you just think there'll be an impasse?
I think there'll be an impasse. I think I'm less confident than I would have been now that Levy has taken over negotiations. You know, it's like, you know, you get the moment in like a movie when the boss enters. You know, you get that boss battle moment. Well, this is more like you get that major ensemble and encore. This is more like a whimper, a sad trombone. You know, it's so anticlimactic for this to all come to a head, and then you hear Daniel Levy's taking over negotiations.
You can't make it up, can you, Mikey? You just can't make it up. Well, to be honest, you can, can't you? I mean, it is kind of predictable.
You can. Well, you can, because every Tottenham fan can sit here and think of 5 deals off the top of your head that you've either been underwhelmed with, that we haven't gone through, or that the money just wasn't there. You know, I'm looking at deals like even positive transfers. We still haven't paid Kulusevski's transfer fee yet, and I know that money's been set aside, but he's been here over a year. I get it was a loan deal. We still haven't paid the money for him yet. You know, he's been an amazing performer, and we still haven't gone. I know that obviously is down to the contract situation, but a player like him, I don't know. That just shows 12 months later, and we still haven't. You know, it took all of 12 months to get the money for several other deals to go through, and if Sporting want the money all in one go and Spurs say, you know, we'll give you the money in installments, why? We're not bringing in anyone else. You're not saving that transfer fee for anyone else, it doesn't look like. Danjuma was a loan. So what is that money being saved for? Like, what is it being saved for? Levy's hookers? Like, what? What are we saving this money for?
It's being saved for the next property development job that they're looking to do, probably.
I don't even know. You know what? I've been so disillusioned with the ownership that I don't even know what Enoch are. What do they even develop it? What are Enoch? What is their primary source
They're an
of
investment
income?
company. They're an investment company.
Oh, right. So that's why they treat Tottenham like an investment rather than as an actual football club. Right. Now,
Exactly.
Now it all makes sense. Now it makes sense. Because we have a businessman, not a football businessman leading the company. There's a difference. You know, you have look at the way PSG restructured. They had year upon year of not fail because they won domestically title, but in the Champions League they weren't going where they wanted to go, and so they've reshuffled. They've said, all right, fine. Get rid of the hierarchy, get rid of Poch, bring in a project manager, Galtier, and bring in Luis Campos, the sporting director. And their signings have been very shrewd, and most of them have worked out for them. So it's like there's so many clubs that are adopting, and there's no bigger proponent of that than Arsenal. I mean, look at them. Smart recruitment, great deals, and they are now the envy of every single Spurs fan, whether you care to admit it or not. And that is just sad. We're exactly where we were 20 years ago. The second biggest club in North London, stuck behind a red, what's the word? The red tape, as it were.
Trying our hardest just to get into the top four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like it was 10, 20, 30 years ago, and there's no evolution. There's no.
Yeah.
passion.
And that's all.
There is
And that's
no
all we can.
aggression.
That's all we're going to be able to expect under this hierarchy. They're never going to push us over the belief of just getting top 4. We're not going to be fighting for titles. We're not going to be going to no more Champions League finals. They got very lucky in that period under Poch. They're happy just to hover in this position of making just about the top 4, and that is it.
And they had the audacity to sack the man who, like, obviously, you know, at the time it perhaps seemed like an inevitability, shall we say, but they had the audacity to sack a man who got us to a final 6 months after said final, like the next manager 6 days before a final, and now we're at a point where getting into top 4 over our rivals, admittedly, it is an absolutely amazing feeling, but where has that got us now? Got us now? You know, it's like, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say. But, you know, aside, you know, Porro deal aside, it's not just Porro, it's Dybala, it's, you know, paying 30, you know, and the times when we
Bruno
have spent
Fernandes,
pattern, it's a pattern.
Moutinho. I mean, you remember when Moutinho broke down on the last day of the transfer window because the bloody fax machine broke? I mean, there's always excuses.
I don't know. And it's like we've had, and the deals that we have spent big on haven't exactly worked. You know, we spent 60 million on Ndombele. The less said about that, the better. The money spent on Lo Celso, the money spent on Moussa Sissoko. All these players that when we do spend big, we get it wrong. Richarlison hasn't been given enough time. I won't egg on Richarlison just yet. But, you know, we spent 50 million only twice in the history of our club. And that was for Ndombele and Richarlison. One of which hasn't worked out at all and isn't working out at Napoli, no matter how good Napoli are doing. And the other one has been injured, not enough to give it a chance, and it's just the money that we do spend just ends up being fucking useless. So I don't know. It's a catch-22. We spend the money on the wrong player, and on the right player we don't get enough. 30 million in image rights, or 50 million, however much it was. He could have been, you know, that extra dimension to our attack. But I won't dwell on the Dybala deal. It hurts. It hurts my head. And as we speak, João Cancelo is here we go to buy and confirm. So there's another example of a deal which took us 28 days to get here we go, and we're still not there, and it's taken Bayern Munich 3 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very frustrating, Mikey, but thanks for coming on today, my friend, and we all share your frustrations. We'll speak to you very soon.
Bye, guys.
That's for Mikey.
Mate. Very, very frustrated Spurs fans. Romano did say earlier, just now actually, on a City podcast, he said that Man City are not going for Pedro Porro as we speak, but it is true they do have a buyback option. So with Cancelo being confirmed to Bayern with an option of 70 million, confirmed by Romano, would you be that surprised if they go in for Porro in the last 24 hours? Well,
they're saying that they've got rid of Cancelo because of the emergence of Rico Lewis, so they wouldn't make much sense to then go and get Porro if they're so confident about Rico Lewis. And they still got Kyle Walker there. And on the left, they've got Aki now playing well. At left back, they've got Sergio Gomez potentially as well. So it would surprise me a little bit if they were to go for Porro now.
If they were to have those two options of Rico Lewis and Porro and get rid of Kyle Walker for the long term, wouldn't be such bad options, would it, for them?
Yeah, it could do it, but I can't see Walker leaving before the deadline.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't see Cancelo leaving before the deadline.
Yeah, true, but
ago.
yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. Yeah, they could do it. They could well do it, but I would be surprised.
But that is all we're going to have time for today. We did have a super chat from KPV saying, "Get KPV on, lads." Well, we're about to get you on, and then you left. So unfortunately, we can't get you on, KPV. But that is the situation as of now. Pedro Porro up in the air at the moment. We don't know what's happening with that. Bryan Gil is undergoing his Sevilla medical as we speak. Lucas Moura is unlikely to leave Tottenham before the end of the window. If we are to make a move for Hincapie, that's probably going to be in the summer. But we do have a new signing in Jude Soonsup-Bell from Chelsea, the 19-year-old striker that's going to join the academy with a view of loaning him out in the summer. Obviously, anything that breaks today, we'll bring it to you here first on We Are Tottenham TV. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.